So you crossed the magical threshold of 45. You woke up one morning, looked in the mirror, and realized your body has completely changed the rules of the game without your permission. The diet that worked flawlessly in your 30s now does absolutely nothing. You're exhausted. Your brain feels like it's wrapped in thick gauze. And no matter how many spin classes you completely torture yourself through, your midsection is stubbornly holding onto weight like a tourist clutching their wallet in Times Square. So, what is your current morning routine? You wake up, you pour a massive cup of black coffee, and you either eat a single piece of dry toast, a heart-healthy bowl of plain oatmeal, or worse, you eat absolutely nothing at all because you think starving yourself until noon is the key to weight loss. Spoiler alert, you are actively committing metabolic sabotage. When you are a woman over 45 navigating the chaotic, unpredictable rollercoaster of perimenopause or full-blown menopause, your hormones are no longer providing the protective safety net they used to. Your estrogen is plummeting, your insulin sensitivity is absolutely tanking, and your muscle tissue is slowly dissolving. But there is a biological cheat code, a specific, non-negotiable metabolic trigger that can completely flip your hormonal landscape before 9 AM. Here is the deep dive cellular biology of exactly what happens to your body when you force feed yourself 30 grams of high-quality protein every single morning, and why it is the ultimate weapon against the aging process. The first massive physiological shift happens directly in your bloodstream, and it has to do with the absolute nightmare that is your morning blood sugar. When you're in your 20s, your body can handle a bagel or a bowl of cereal for breakfast. But as your estrogen drops during perimenopause, your cells naturally become incredibly resistant to insulin. Estrogen is essentially the biological key that helps insulin push glucose out of your blood and into your muscles. When estrogen leaves the chat, that glucose just sits in your bloodstream. Furthermore, you experience something called the cortisol awakening response. Every morning, your body naturally spikes cortisol to wake you up. If you dump carbohydrates, like oatmeal, a banana, or a pastry, into a system that is already flooded with waking cortisol and highly resistant to insulin, you create a catastrophic blood sugar spike. Your pancreas absolutely panics and floods your system with massive amounts of insulin to clean up the mess. And because insulin is the master fat storage hormone, your body immediately shuttles all those morning calories directly to your visceral belly fat. But when you eat exactly 30 grams of protein for breakfast, like 4 whole eggs and a piece of high-quality sausage, you completely blunt that entire biological disaster. Protein has a negligible effect on your blood sugar. It acts as a massive heavy biochemical anchor. It smooths out the glucose curve, keeping your blood sugar completely flat. A perfectly steady, green heartbeat line. When your blood sugar is stable, your insulin stays incredibly low. And when your insulin stays low all morning, your body is biologically forced to open up your fat stores and burn your own stored body fat for energy. You literally flip the metabolic switch from fat storing to fat burning before you even finish your morning commute. The second thing that happens is a massive microscopic construction project inside your skeletal muscle. This is arguably the most critical reason women over 45 must hit this specific 30-gram number. You are currently battling a ruthless, silent biological condition called sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss. But you're also dealing with something called anabolic resistance. Because of your shifting hormones, your muscles have essentially become deaf to the signals that tell them to grow or maintain their size. Eating 10 grams of protein from a sad little handful of almonds, or 12 grams from a pitiful scoop of Greek yogurt does absolutely nothing. It is a biological whisper. Your muscles cannot hear it. To overcome this anabolic resistance, you have to hit a very specific, scientifically documented threshold to trigger a cellular pathway called mTOR, the mammalian target of rapamycin. mTOR is the master light switch for muscle protein synthesis. To physically flip that heavy switch, your body requires exactly 2.5 to 3 grams of a specific amino acid called leucine. And the only way to naturally get 3 grams of leucine in a single meal is to eat at least 30 grams of complete animal-based protein. If you hit that 30-gram threshold first thing in the morning, you violently flip the mTOR switch to on. Your body immediately stops breaking down your own muscle tissue and starts rebuilding the metabolic armor you need to survive aging. A glowing, fortified brick wall being constructed. And because muscle is the most highly metabolic, calorie-burning tissue in the human body. Forcing your body to maintain it means you're aggressively increasing your resting basal metabolic rate. You're literally turning your body into a furnace that burns calories while you're just sitting in traffic. The third physiological miracle happens deep inside your gut and directly impacts the chemical signals sent to your brain. If you are the type of person who eats a small breakfast and then finds yourself violently craving sugar, tearing through the office pantry at 3 p.m. like a feral animal looking for a donut, it is not because you lack willpower. It is because your hunger hormones are completely out of control. When you consume 30 grams of dense protein, it lands in your stomach and immediately triggers the release of specialized satiety peptides in your gut. Specifically, cholecystokinin, CCK, and peptide YY. Even more importantly, it causes a massive secretion of GLP-1. Yes, the exact same GLP-1 hormone that all those ridiculously expensive, trendy Hollywood weight loss injections are trying to mimic. Your body can make it naturally, but only if you give it enough protein. Simultaneously, that massive hit of protein forcefully pushes down the production of ghrelin, which is the hormone that makes your stomach aggressively growl and signals your brain to seek out junk food. By front-loading your day with 30 grams of protein, you're chemically tranquilizing your hunger hormones. A ferocious guard dog falling fast asleep, you will comfortably coast all the way to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock p.m. without experiencing a single agonizing craving, completely eliminating the mindless mid-morning snacking that is secretly destroying your daily caloric deficit. The fourth massive benefit is something called the Thermic Effect of Food, or TEF. This is a massive biological loophole that almost nobody takes advantage of. Every single time you put food in your mouth, your body has to spend physical energy, meaning it has to burn actual calories, just to chew, digest, absorb, and assimilate those nutrients. But not all macronutrients are created equal. When you eat dietary fat, your body only burns about 2 to 3% of those calories during digestion. When you eat carbohydrates, it burns maybe 5 to 10%, but protein is incredibly complex. It is essentially a complicated, tangled biochemical knot of amino acids bound together by tough peptide bonds. Your digestive system has to work incredibly hard, pumping out massive amounts of hydrochloric acid and enzymes just to break those bonds apart. Because of this massive effort, the thermic effect of protein is a staggering 20 to 30%. This means if you eat 150 calories of pure chicken breast or eggs for breakfast, your body literally has to burn up to 45 of those calories just to digest the meal itself. You're getting a localized internal metabolic workout without lifting a single finger. When you start your day with 30 grams of protein, you are instantly revving up your internal engine, creating a massive thermogenic fire that raises your core body temperature and accelerates your daily calorie burn from the inside out. The final and most visually apparent change happens to your structural proteins, specifically your hair, skin, and nails. One of the most devastating side effects of plummeting estrogen during menopause is the rapid, brutal destruction of your collagen. Estrogen is intimately tied to collagen production. Women can lose up to 30% of their skin's collagen in the first 5 years of menopause alone. Your skin gets thinner, it sags, and your hair starts falling out in the shower. Millions of women rush out to buy wildly expensive collagen gummies or magical anti-aging creams, fundamentally misunderstanding how human biology works. You cannot just smear collagen on the outside of your face and expect it to work. Collagen is a protein. Hair is made of a protein called keratin. If you're not eating enough dietary protein, your body goes into triage mode. It prioritizes keeping your vital organs alive and completely stops sending amino acids to your non-essential tissues like your scalp and your face. By forcing 30 grams of highly bioavailable protein into your system every morning, you're flooding your bloodstream with the exact elemental building blocks, the proline, the glycine, the hydroxyproline, that your body desperately needs to actively rebuild your thinning hair, strengthen your brittle nails, and restore the elastic density to your aging skin. You cannot outwork, out-supplement, or out-medicate a diet that is profoundly deficient in structural amino acids. The simple, undeniable truth is that if you are a woman over 45, eating 30 grams of high-quality protein for breakfast is no longer optional. It is a biological imperative for your survival. Stop starving yourself. throw the plain oatmeal in the garbage and eat some real food. If you want to know exactly what the highest quality, most bioavailable protein sources are, and which fake, heavily processed proteins are actively poisoning your gut, click the video on the screen right now. I break down the ultimate anti-aging grocery list you need to survive menopause. Subscribe so you stop accidentally destroying your own metabolism, and I'll see you in the next one.